I mean, it's been helping everybody I've met for years now, so I don't see why it wouldn't be helpful, especially in such a refined version at this time, coming in such deep centering and ground. Sometimes it's tough for me, to go back to just like speaking to somebody.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I made the right call, but I feel
Coming
like.
down in frequency in a way it feels like, I get all this like giant rise, but I mean, all of it's pretty good. I mean, it all stays together, and eventually, sometimes I can hit these like hard shaped lines right now too when it comes to the vocal channel moving through due to the probable, I don't know, just lack of doing the whole body movement in some sense. But I don't know. I say those kinds of things, but the attunement to the flow in the moment is so formless, for you to constantly be doing the one that we did today would be so formed in its formlessness, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of nice to be able to take on form and then change form and do all kinds of different things, be versatile with the moment, and not be able to grasp on any preference of it because yeah, the frequencies that come through feel amazing, they feel great, the reflections are beautiful, we're crying, we're doing this, it's real powerful, it's moving energy in this way, but we always have to allow time to settle, time to come back in. Talking is kind of an easy way to do that, and that's what was nice about some of the channels and some of the songs was that they really brought into focus that kind of a teaching about how to come into a realm of great speaking subtlety. In the end, there is different chord shapes occurring, but we can describe more in detail about those, I guess, in the future whenever they come into greater realm of sight for articulation. It's all about subtlety, though. It's pretty much not doing something. It's right, like what I'm saying right now. Right now, we are so subtle that it's extremely easy to stay where we are. We're quite sure of where we are in a big way. It's easy to stay in this line, in this subject, in this mode of travel and conversation and communication. It's easy to continue down this frequency. Why? Because we're relaxed. We're not really doing anything. Before, we're getting showing, we're growing, we're doing all these different things. It's awesome. But right now, I feel like I'm about to fall asleep in some way, and this is one of the most centered and easily balanced talking expressions I've had. Um, I don't want to say all day because earlier today, I mean, I'm just
Phenomenal.
absolutely rocking it. Obviously, the moment was just calling for it. Mikey showed up. We had those brilliant, beautiful dances. You tried to catch him. It's not a big deal. And yeah, and then Teresa showed up, and that was like a downer to our previous frequency in some way. But that was okay. That was collateral damage in some manner, and that was also a brilliant gift because she got to express herself, and we also got to express energy with her. But we also got to bring into focus different alignment of what it is that we're doing over here. And so that could spark things within her frequency if she wishes to come over here and be a little more respectful and less dominating. Because it was wonderful to have her here in some way and have that brilliant mirror. And she has a phenomenal ability to express herself and sing and all those things. So it could be that with, you know, instant awareness and pointings that she would have a really fast rate of acceleration deeper into herself. Now, she does have the attachments to the world. She has her child, she has Jesse, she has her ideas of what family looks like, she has her ideas of what it looks like for her to be in her daughter's life and where to be in her life and all of these different things. And so these are a lot of different forms that may not really work with what consciousness may have for her, in a high benefit. And if she were to move towards whatever consciousness was moving her towards without resistance to any change, adapting as the moment adapts in a certain formless manner, she would definitely find the grace point for her experience. to ride the center line of it and be able to transmute the energies of whatever's occurring in a way that is beneficial for her own personal learning and that of those around her in a higher degree and fashion. Now, to achieve liberation at this level of attachment, though, I mean, I don't know how she would become so able to dedicate herself to the flow of herself in such a way. Because everything that she would be doing would be for a cause. And that cause would be for herself. And for myself, I have had myself die. And so all of my causes and all of my wishes and all my desires for my family and everything in my life died with me. And then when I tried to pick them back up again, I couldn't hold on to them. They wouldn't let me. It wouldn't be possible for me to do so. And I would only try one time anyway, and it was so far removed from it. It completely rejected me immediately, and it was one of the most awful situations of my life to show me, no, you're gonna wanna stay on the path. I'm like, oh yeah, I totally love myself. I totally don't want to be wiped off and deleted by all of consciousness. I'm totally gonna play ball with this. It was pretty cool. Great amount of motivation through that chord shape. So it can be difficult for people, you know. It can be difficult to work with people in certain levels. But nobody's in a wrong level. Nobody's in the wrong place. And there's no necessity to really, you know, make anyone learn or force anybody to the path of liberation. If they're motivated by their own compassion to seek that, then they're probably ready. You know, I asked you, you know, what are you looking for in life, or what are you looking for, or something like that, you know. And that's the correct answer: liberation, enlightenment. You know, and if that's not your answer, you know, maybe you're just afraid to say that's your answer, or maybe you just never really pondered that before. And I'm not saying that you couldn't be sparked immediately upon being brought into the awareness of the possibility, as I was. Would I have been sparked to this capability? I don't know. It depends on the person in front of me. Right now, a lot of people seem to be being sparked by me in a really beautiful manner. But to the level of which they're able to be sparked by me, well, you see, Dayton does not hang out forever. He's only able to hang out for whatever time he's available or able to, you know, for his benefit, and then also for ours, you know. And then it's integration time of the energy that comes in. You have an amazing ability to receive yourself personally. And so you can take my frequency a little greater than other people for a longer duration. Much longer, in fact. I mean, nobody's ever been hanging out with me this long, or since I woke up, I mean. And Teresa, you know, she can take the frequency, but we can only work so fast, so far, so hard, and she has a lot of things in her mind. So we would have to pull her into exactly what we're doing in a very direct way by simply being direct with her. And we don't really pull her in. We just simply tell her what's going on and kind of say where our focus is. You know what I mean? And if she wishes to be a part of that focus, then great. But if she wishes to dominate and come in and, you know, lead the way and, you know, rule our day, that's not going to be the way that we are able to conduct ourselves with another individual this time. We're able to rise and grow our consciousness and help others do that as well. And we're totally able to hold space and listen and love all of ourselves when they come up to us in the moment. So we have plenty of patience to process and sit there, and she could do it again and again, and we might process it more and more. But if it repeats the pattern more and more, then I'm not going to enable the reality. We're going to work at what the root is. What's happening here? What's going on with you actually? You know, what do you actually need from me here? Why did you come to a channel of limitless emptiness to express about this? What kind of wisdom from consciousness are you seeking that's the compassion necessary for you to grow in a way that can help you move through whatever you're moving through? Now, she was not actually here talking to me, really. either of the days. She came to talk to Dayton and to you, which was fine. And then the rest of it was kind of joking things, and I end up cutting that out eventually both times. I just don't like the joking too much. I mean, it's fun to play around with the present moment and consciousness, but I like to be serious. What are we doing here? Are we looping this for nothing? Apparently, people can be good expressors and still not be able to cut to the chase about what's going on within them. So that's why we have to be able to watch all the different balances and things like that. I don't mean be able to watch it like a hawk, take all your days go by. I mean, we're amazingly on point already, and that's the focus that I wish to bring people into. If I thought that it was possible to bring her into that focus in a balanced manner at this time, then I would have done that. But at this time, she needs people to receive, and we were able to do that for her now 2 days in a row. And it was a beautiful blessing and wonderful teachings for us both days in a row. For both you and Dayton. First, it was Dayton getting dominated by her, and me being present for it and just doing some moving and listening, as I wasn't the actual forefront bearer. I have the ability to dominate another individual when I'm listening to the channel going for them, but usually I allow people to have their karma play out, even if I'm around with my awesome awareness or whatever, you know. But I'll still eventually express what it is that I've had to express. I'll just allow everybody else to do their thing. And if it gets expressed what I have to express, then I'll still probably express about it and then just state how it's been expressed previous in the conversation and how I thought that was nice that you came to the conclusion and all the other expressions that came after that observance. Expression is key. Honesty. I love to be able to express myself. Now, of course, only if there's space. Sometimes there's not space for me to express, and that's no problem. Eventually, in the future, though, I will express that unexpressed thing. It's what it's nice to be about, you know, it's what it's nice to be about, you know, very clear and to be, you know, here now in a way, you know, very mindful, very present, you know, you kind of pick up always where you left off, so it's not too big a deal. You know. I pretty much actually don't like to leave too many loose ends. Here I don't believe that I have in any way. I said all the things I needed to say pretty much at the end of every cycle with somebody. I will have said every observance that I needed to say. Of course, properly placed with where there was space, feeling deeply, and sometimes I've rushed ahead and sometimes I've held back, and I found out the center line through experiencing these trials and errors within my present experience with the reality, with everything happening, with all that is entirely. And I do like to accelerate frequency. I really like to move into greater and greater realms of subtlety. And so that's where formlessness is really coming into motion right now, to where these types of things are possible, to where we could kick down from a really powerful flow and move on to this kind of a flow. Now, I would say that part of me would wish to judge me and say, hey, man, we should have kept that thing going this way. But I don't think so, really. I mean, the way that it dissipated and then it broke away, this kind of ends it in a way that won't create future occurrences, and also allowed you to get the teaching that it was just coming to you previously about being dominated by others in reality due to the lack of ability to use the voice. And so this was the point of the throat strengthening exercise, and the strengthening exercise that we were doing literally just previous to her coming up. You were still recovering from it when she came, and then we recovered completely in a very beautiful, gorgeous way with singing and tones and all these things. And then there you go again, right into your next dominance teaching about using the throat, opening the throat, and how it can help you out. Now, who knows the different possibilities of what could have happened due to the use of the throat, but they're vast. We really have no way to predict which way it would have went. With one tone, the entire conversation would have changed. She was the one in the forefront of consciousness. Now, she is not the type of person, apparently by her stating, that wishes to dominate in a way. For myself personally, it seemed as though there was some kind of energy and desire to it. But I also see things in the way of balance. So, well, there's a positive frequency there and a negative frequency there, and they're at this voltage. Well, I guess then that frequency belongs next to that frequency. And so she wasn't coming at me with those energies because she can't come at me with those energies. You don't come at me with those types of energies. If you did, what would happen? Something that people that present those types of energies don't want to have happen. They want to have that thing happen. And you want to have that thing happen. Even if you don't want to have that thing happen, you're not wanting to have it happen, it is still wanting to have it happen. And they also, even though they may want it to happen, they may not want it to happen as well. You know, it's funny. But you guys are needing the same thing. Eventually, one of you soft spoken little guys, you're going to say something to her just right. And that'll dissipate it. But maybe she'll keep doing that reflection everywhere. Who knows for sure? But if somebody could be real clear and share an awareness with her in the mirror about how that's happening, it could clear it for her as well. You know, and you don't have to like explode and grab your voice in an attacking way. You can be like, I think I figured this one out. Hold on a second here. But who knows what it is? We would only be able to find out through our constant observance of it within the mirror. But like I said, she has a lot of things going on right now. And also, in a way, so do we ourselves. And so we can't really keep ourselves enslaved to the liberation of her personal consciousness. I mean, it's not paying us or something. We're just hanging out over here at the beach, rising. We can't listen to her every day, all day, you know. So if she were to come here all day, which is acceptable, no problem. If somebody wants to do it, we try it out. But she wants to be here all day. She's going to have to be doing what we're doing. But she has a lot of troubles going on in the world right now, and so she may not be able to really do that right now. She might want to do her healing work, other things like this. But it's just something to where it's like, hey, man, I'm very sorry. I can't be hanging out and talking to you right now. I gotta move my energy around, or this, that, or the other. You know, you could do that. Now, what was the most authentic expression, perhaps, is that you didn't want to talk to her. I don't know, something about it. You didn't want to receive from her, you didn't want to talk to her. And so I guess in some way that's the most simple transference of energy in that arena. You know, because you are doing something you don't want to do. So now somebody's accosting your frequency. Of course, this somebody probably doesn't want to do that. So if you use your voice, it's possible that they will stop and won't, and maybe they want to figure out why, and if they're really erratic and create stories and stuff, you not answering them quick enough could be like difficult for them as all their assumptions and fears come rising to the surface to create the story that's actually there or whatever. But they can't do that. They don't know the story. You know the story. Maybe they're right, who knows, but the only one that would be able to tell them if they were wrong, would be the person who's singing that personal song, you know. So that's you know. And so it's very interesting, you know, if you just simply just, you know, for some reason I just don't want you here. But there's all kinds of different things in the mirror. So maybe if you start to express those energies, you can start to see why you didn't want her here, or why this, or why that, or whatever that is. And if you can start to explain and articulate to other people the whys, that's very helpful for them as well, no matter what. Maybe you're incorrect, but they do now know a way that somebody can perceive them. Somebody similar to yourself, or whatever that is. But it does add perspective, which is kind of helpful for learning on how to interact with other beings. And also because other beings are actually ourselves with ourselves. So there's all kinds of awesome things that can happen through that. And again, if you would have expressed something in that manner, she's very sensitive, she probably would have left it. You know, she's creating a lot of stories, projecting a lot of realities. People aren't speaking, she's just saying a lot of things, and they're all from the experience that she's been given previous. Her experiences with men, her experiences this way, her experiences that way. And it's all very beautiful and it's all very nice, but they're all very traumatizing experiences. So she's painted a really interesting view on reality. Now, we sitting in this part of reality can see that the view that she's painting on every one of our characters is not true. Now, I told her this every time myself personally, and I even told her that she was not right about her depiction about you and Mr. Dayton, perhaps. But neither of you, I think, really said too much about that. But that's okay. That's no problem. But the voice would have been very helpful for you not being dominated by this other individual who was probably, again, just being your wisdom teacher. And you as well were doing the same thing in an opposite manner, or maybe not an exact opposite, depending on how it is we're polarizing or distinguishing this. We don't have to polarize it to distinguish it either. But yeah, either way, uh, we just don't have too much time to be working with other individuals at this time that aren't working in the focus that we're working with. We're harmonized to a certain energy at this time, which is one, rising our consciousness for the benefit of all beings, or liberating ourselves, or just simply realizing ourselves, which is quite subtle and formless. So there is no emergency or anxiety, because what it happens is that we're already there. So it's just like, stepping into it more and more and more and more and more. And in some way, even though there's sadness and there's all these other energies and there's all these big stories and they're all this big that and they're all this big that, really here in the game of consciousness, what's happening right now is, she's going through the karmas of life from the point of somebody who doesn't have the vision at this time to be seeking that thing within inside due to many other dissonances within the reality. So there's a lot of trauma and clearing to work through. And like I said, we're all about helping people work through that stuff. But that's what we got to be doing. We have heard the stories, we've heard the things, and that is part of it. It's wonderful to help somebody express and have a place for them to be able to express and feel heard. Now, if they're trying to feel heard and do work, that's why I would want to hear them. Otherwise somebody else can listen to them. Because if they don't need somebody to listen to them actually and get feedback, then, other people could probably do that. Plenty of people never give feedback when they listen to people. They can do that. If they want my feedback, though, it's going to be quite a bit of time, to be having with me. If you're going to want that, then we're going to have to really talk about what it is that I'm going into, because the only way I can help you is for you to realize your limitless self. We're just going to have to work through all the obscurations in your mind that bring you away from seeing things in a non-dual manner. But she's talking about conspiracy, and she's talking about, vaccines and stuff like this, all this fight reality. That stuff is really difficult. We talked about force the other day. We gave the teaching about how fight isn't going to work with a divorce and all these different things. But it's very clear certain things, and with those other things held on to and being so rigid and strong and not letting them go, there's just not too much you can do with that. People have to make their own choices, And we could be involved in every karma and all the world around us, but we have a certain goal in blooming the lotus that has a certain spiritual radiance or vibrational resonance that is extremely beneficial to her situation and to every situation, really. And so the best thing that we can really just do is be authentic with everybody for where we are, wherever we are. And right now we're at a point to where listening to her every day talk about all the many things she has to talk about. The projections about you, the projections about Dayton, the projections about male and society, life, sexual this and whatever that, joking this, accent that, it's all very beautiful. But we're quite busy being quite serious with our play. I understand that you're trying to be more playful right now because serious is quite difficult, and we totally get that, and we love to hold space for that. But if you would like to be here for a longer period in time, maybe it would be good if you can listen, breathe, and learn what it is that we're doing here. And you could be welcomed into to certain practices and things. It seems like right now you're in the point to where you need somebody to really be with you personally, like much more directly. But you don't want to be with me apparently because you're actually only speaking to Dayton and Ray, which I think is beautiful. And then there's the subtle sexual energy thing, and I'm like, okay, well that's fine. And this seems to me like it's going to get in the way of what I'm trying to do with you two, and with yourself personally as well. And I don't really care for that myself personally. We've been working on a cycle for a long time, and I'm not going to let anything come in the way of the cycle of our growth at this manner, at this point in our in juncture in our journey. And really, actually, with all that being said, I mean, I was also completely open to whatever seemed to happen and just kind of watching and observing in agitation or whatever energy that I had, whether the energy lifted and became spacious or it went this way or it went that way. But then when all the things were being projected about you and then about this thing and then about how she can do whatever she wants and then all this and all that, and I was just walking in and then I was included, and that was an interesting thing for me to be included. I was like, oh, okay. And she said that we must ask the Lord, and this is all real interesting, funny things that she acts like are jokes, but these are truths that she's saying. She really feels this way about men and things like that. So there's plenty of upsetness with her and the male. Luckily, I don't have to identify with the male, so I don't have to take it too personally. I don't have to not identify with things either, because I'm everything. I'm the male, the female, the heart, androgynous, all that is, limitless emptiness. And that's all good and stuff. But,